Hey friends, welcome back to Cozy Cabin's History. Thank you for joining us as we continue our Echoes of Japan series. Today, we step into the Edo period, a time when Japan turned inward, crafting a culture all its own through discipline, order, and isolation. The year is 1603, and we're in Edo, the bustling city that would one day become Tokyo. Here, we see the roots of a unique society, carefully structured by the Tokugawa shogunate and guided by values that shaped everything from daily life to art and philosophy. In this episode, we'll uncover the story of the Edo period, from its inception to its influence on modern Japan. We'll begin with Tokugawa Ieyasu, the leader whose ambition and strategy united Japan and established a foundation for over 250 years of peace. As we journey deeper, we'll explore the role of the samurai in this time of peace, the rigid social structure that defined Edo society, and the flourishing of Japanese art. From the evocative ukiyo-e prints to the colorful world of kabuki theater. Finally, we'll delve into the unique concept of sakoku, the closed country policy, which kept Japan isolated from the outside world, allowing it to cultivate a deeply introspective and self-sufficient society. There's so much to discover, and we're thrilled to have you with us. Remember to hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. Now, let's begin with the rise of Tokugawa Ieyasu and the start of this remarkable era in Japanese history. At the turn of the 17th century, Japan was a land fractured by civil war. The country was divided among feudal lords, or daimyo, who each ruled their territories with their armies of samurai. For over a century, Japan had been in turmoil as clans fought for dominance, creating a world of shifting alliances and endless battles for power. But amidst this chaos, a leader emerged, Tokugawa Ieyasu. In 1600, at the decisive Battle of the Sekigahara, Ieyasu defeated his rivals, uniting the country under his rule. 3 years later, he established the Tokugawa shogunate in Edo, marking the beginning of a new era. This shogunate would control Japan with centralized power, bringing stability and ending the cycle of war that had plagued the land. Ieyasu's vision for Japan went beyond military victory. He wanted to create a lasting peace that would allow the nation to flourish. His leadership wasn't just about power, it was about transforming Japan into a unified society where peace and order reigned. Under Ieyasu's rule, Japan would enter one of the longest periods of peace in its history, an era now known as the Edo period. Tokugawa Ieyasu's vision for Japan was not just to end the wars, but to build a society where conflict would be unthinkable. Ieyasu believed that peace could only be sustained through discipline and a well-structured society. He had seen the destruction that chaos could bring, and he was determined to prevent it from happening again. To achieve this, Ieyasu created a highly centralized government based in Edo, where he and his descendants would hold the highest authority. He established a rigid class hierarchy, with the samurai at the top, followed by farmers, artisans, and merchants. Each class was given specific roles and responsibilities, creating a society where everyone knew their place. This structure was carefully designed to prevent unrest, ensuring that each class contributed to the stability of the nation. Under Ieyasu's rule, values like loyalty, duty, and respect for authority became the foundation of Japanese life. His policies and ideals shaped a society that valued harmony and discipline above all else, laying the groundwork for a uniquely Japanese identity that would last long after the Edo period ended. By creating this unified Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu set the stage for an era of cultural and artistic growth, a time when Japan could develop free from outside influence. The Edo period, named after the city where the Tokugawa shogunate was based, was a time of remarkable stability and isolation in Japan. Lasting from 1603 to 1868, this era was defined by the Tokugawa shogunate's centralized power and its policy of strict societal control. Under the rule of 15 Tokugawa shoguns, Japan experienced over 250 years of peace, a rare achievement for any country during this time. The shogunate's control extended over all aspects of life, from the rigid class structure to the prohibition of foreign influence. Known as the sakoku, or closed country policy, Japan remained isolated from the rest of the world, with only limited trade permitted with China and the Netherlands through the port of Nagasaki. This isolation allowed Japan to cultivate its culture and traditions without external interference, leading to a flourishing of arts, philosophy, and distinct cultural practices. In Edo society, people led structured lives, governed by rules and customs that dictated everything from dress to occupation. It was a time of great cultural unity, where traditions were cherished and innovations were carefully integrated. The Edo period remains one of Japan's most influential eras, its legacy visible in modern Japanese culture, from art and literature to social values and ethics. With the end of civil wars, the samurai, Japan's warrior class, faced a new reality. The age of battles and clan conflicts was over, and the samurai's role had shifted from warrior to administrator. They became the protectors of peace, enforcing the shogunate's laws and serving as civil servants. While they no longer needed to fight, their status remained high in the social hierarchy, and they were expected to live by strict codes of honor and discipline. In this new role, samurai retained their iconic swords as symbols of status and loyalty, but they were also given new duties. Many were assigned to administrative roles, overseeing lands, managing taxes, and ensuring that the rules of the shogunate were followed. The samurai became the embodiment of the Tokugawa shogunate's values, acting as models of discipline and loyalty in a society that valued order above all. However, this shift was not easy for many samurai, who had been trained from a young age to fight. The transition from battlefield to bureaucracy required them to find a new sense of purpose, and for some, this was a struggle. Yet, through their commitment to honor and duty, the samurai upheld the peace that Tokugawa Ieyasu had worked so hard to establish, becoming symbols of stability in the new Japan. Central to the samurai's identity was Bushido, the way of the warrior. Bushido was a code that emphasized loyalty, honor, and self-discipline. guiding the samurai in every aspect of their lives. It was a philosophy that defined what it meant to live and die with integrity. And even in times of peace, the samurai adhered to Bushido as their moral compass. In the Edo period, Bushido took on new significance as the samurai found themselves navigating a world without war, where honor had to be demonstrated through loyalty and service rather than combat. Bushido taught the samurai to cultivate virtues like courage, compassion, and humility, qualities that were not only meant for the battlefield, but were ideals to live by. In the peaceful world of the Edo period, Bushido guided the samurai in their roles as administrators and civil servants. Their loyalty to the shogunate, their dedication to maintaining order, and their discipline in all they did were expressions of Bushido, reflecting their determination to live with honor, regardless of circumstances. For the samurai of the Edo period, Bushido was a way to adapt to the changing times without losing their identity. It allowed them to find purpose and meaning in peace, proving that the spirit of the warrior extended beyond warfare. By upholding Bushido, the samurai embodied the values of discipline and loyalty that were central to Tokugawa society, reinforcing the stability that Ieyasu had envisioned for Japan. Bushido became the foundation of the samurai's role in Edo society, a code that would continue to influence Japanese culture long after the age of the samurai ended. One of the most influential works on Bushido from the Edo period was Hagakure, written by Yamamoto Tsunetomo, a former samurai who had served the Nabeshima clan. Living in an era of peace, Tsunetomo grappled with the meaning of loyalty and duty in a time when the samurai's traditional role as a warrior had faded. In Hagakure, he explored the idea of Bushido as a philosophy that transcended the need for battle, offering guidance for samurai who sought to live with honor in a world without war. Hagakure is filled with reflections on loyalty, death, and the nature of duty. Tsunetomo believed that a true samurai should be willing to sacrifice everything for their lord, even their life. He argued that the acceptance of death was essential to the samurai's identity, a perspective that resonated deeply in a society that valued self-discipline and loyalty. Hagakure became a philosophical guide for samurai in the Edo period, emphasizing that Bushido was not just a code for warriors, but a way of life that demanded unwavering dedication and resilience. Tsunetomo's work would go on to influence generations of samurai, shaping the way they understood honor and loyalty in a time of peace. His reflections on Bushido provided a framework for samurai who struggled to find purpose in their new roles, offering them a sense of identity that was rooted in tradition. Hagakure remains one of the most profound explorations of Bushido, capturing the essence of the samurai spirit and their commitment to living with integrity, regardless of their circumstances. To maintain order and prevent unrest, the Tokugawa shogunate established a strict social hierarchy. This structure placed the samurai at the top, followed by farmers, artisans, and merchants, each class clearly defined with specific roles and duties. The samurai, despite no longer engaging in warfare, were considered the highest class, embodying values like loyalty and discipline. Below them were the farmers, who provided essential resources and maintained the backbone of the economy. Artisans crafted goods for society, from pottery to metalwork, while merchants, though necessary for trade, were considered the lowest due to their perceived lack of productive labor. This rigid social order was not just a guideline, but a core part of daily life, dictating how people lived, dressed, and interacted. Movement between classes was nearly impossible, as each person's role was assigned at birth. While this structure ensured stability, it also created limitations, especially for merchants who gained economic influence but could not rise in status. Even those who became wealthy were confined to the expectations of their rank, with the Tokugawa shogunate strictly regulating displays of wealth to prevent social tension. Through this hierarchy, the Tokugawa shogunate sought to create a balanced and harmonious society, one in which each person's contributions were respected but bound within strict limits. This system minimized social mobility, reducing potential sources of conflict and ensuring that each class supported the whole. By keeping society carefully segmented, the shogunate was able to maintain control and create a unified culture that emphasized duty, respect, and acceptance of one's place within the larger order. Despite being at the bottom of the social hierarchy, the merchant class experienced a surprising rise in influence during the Edo period. While the samurai symbolized honor and the farmers provided essential resources, merchants became central to Japan's growing economy, facilitating trade within the country's borders. They managed the flow of goods, from rice and textiles to art and luxuries, contributing to the prosperity of cities like Edo, Osaka, and Kyoto. As the economy flourished, many merchants amassed considerable wealth, creating a complex dynamic between economic power and social status. While officially restricted from displaying their wealth, merchants found ways to contribute to Edo society's cultural landscape. They became patrons of the arts, supporting kabuki theater, ukiyo-e printmaking, and tea ceremonies, investing in the beauty and creativity that defined the period. In neighborhoods like Yoshiwara, merchant-funded entertainment districts thrived, offering Edo's residents a place to escape and enjoy the finer things in life. Through their patronage, merchants played an integral role in the cultural blossoming of the Edo period, influencing art, entertainment, and everyday life. Despite their contributions, merchants faced strict regulations to keep them in their designated social position. They were prohibited from overt displays of luxury, their lifestyles carefully monitored by the shogunate. Yet their influence was undeniable, as the wealth they generated allowed them to impact society in ways that transcended their official rank. The rise of the merchant class added depth to the Edo society, demonstrating how wealth, creativity, and social boundaries could coexist within the Tokugawa system. The Edo period is celebrated as one of Japan's golden ages of art and culture, a time when peace allowed creativity to flourish like never before. With the absence of war, artists, poets, and performers dedicated themselves to exploring the human experience, capturing moments of beauty, love, and humor in their work. This era saw the rise of ukiyo-e, or pictures of the floating world, a genre of woodblock prints that depicted scenes of everyday life, landscapes, and portraits of actors and courtesans. These prints became a defining feature of Edo art, offering glimpses into the lives, passions, and dreams of the people. Edo art was not only about capturing the world as it was, it was also an exploration of emotion and imagination. Ukiyo-e prints captured scenes of vibrant pleasure quarters, serene landscapes, and famous kabuki actors, creating a tapestry of Edo life in vivid color. The themes of impermanence and fleeting beauty, central to Japanese aesthetics, were often present in these works. The arts became a reflection of the Edo period's philosophy, emphasizing the value of the present moment and the beauty in everyday scenes. As the arts grew, they began to reach a broader audience, with woodblock prints becoming popular among commoners and samurai alike. The accessibility of ukiyo-e and the wide range of subjects depicted allowed people from all classes to connect with the work, making Edo art a unifying force in society. From the bustling streets of Edo to the rural villages, art became a common thread that celebrated the essence of Japanese life, an enduring legacy that continues to captivate the world. One of the most iconic images to emerge from the Edo period is Katsushika Hokusai's The Great Wave off Kanagawa, part of his series 36 Views of Mount Fuji. This woodblock print, created around 1831, captures the drama of a towering wave threatening small boats as the serene figure of Mount Fuji watches in the background. The composition, with its sweeping lines and striking colors, exemplifies Hokusai's skill and creativity, as well as his fascination with nature's power and beauty. Hokusai's work became emblematic of Japan's relationship with the natural world, reflecting both awe and respect. The wave's sense of movement, combined with the stillness of Mount Fuji, conveys a delicate balance between chaos and calm, a theme that resonated deeply with the Japanese sense of harmony. The vibrant blue color, made possible by new Prussian blue pigments imported from Europe, gave the print a distinctive look that set it apart from traditional Japanese artwork. Hokusai's innovative use of perspective and dynamic composition brought a new level of sophistication to ukiyo-e. The Great Wave was not only a masterpiece of art, but a cultural symbol, representing the strength of the Japanese spirit. Hokusai's work continues to be celebrated worldwide, admired for its artistry and its deep connection to Japanese aesthetics. The print's popularity endures, a testament to the Edo period's profound influence on Japanese art and its timeless appeal to audiences across cultures and generations. Kabuki theater, a bold and expressive form of Japanese drama, blossomed during the Edo period and quickly became one of the most popular entertainments of the time. It began in the early 1600s, when a female performer, Okuni, created a new style of theatrical performance that combined dance, drama, and elaborate costumes. However, as kabuki's popularity grew, the shogunate banned women from performing, leading to an all-male tradition where male actors, known as onogata, played female roles. This unique aspect of kabuki became one of its defining features, adding a layer of artistry to the performances. Kabuki performances were known for their dramatic storytelling, exploring themes of love, loyalty, revenge, and moral dilemmas that resonated with Edo society. The players often depicted characters from all walks of life, from noble samurai to humble merchants, creating a dynamic world on stage that reflected the complexities of Japanese society. Kabuki actors became celebrities, beloved by audiences for their skill and flair. Performers like Ichikawa Danjiro I introduced stylized techniques and poses, known as mie, which became signatures of Kabuki, allowing actors to convey powerful emotions in a single moment. Kabuki's colorful costumes, exaggerated makeup, and bold movements created a visually stunning spectacle that captivated audiences. The theater became a place where people from all classes could escape the rigidity of Edo society and experience the intensity of human emotion. Through Kabuki, the people of Edo found a way to express their hopes, fears, and desires, making it not only a form of entertainment, but a cultural force that celebrated the vitality and spirit of the Edo period. Yoshiwara, Edo's licensed pleasure district, became one of the city's most famous and intriguing places, offering a unique world where social hierarchies faded and people from all walks of life came together. Established in 1617, Yoshiwara was a carefully regulated district, surrounded by moats and gates, where courtesans, artists, and entertainers thrived. It was a world of beauty and elegance, known for its tea houses, theaters, and luxurious establishments, where courtesans, known as oiran, entertained guests with grace, wit, and refinement. The oiran were highly skilled in conversation, poetry, and music, and were often admired as cultural icons. These women were well educated and trained in the arts, embodying ideals of beauty and sophistication that captivated the residents of Edo. The pleasure district became a popular subject in ukiyo-e art, as artists captured scenes of Yoshiwara's vibrant nightlife, its elegant courtesans, and the glamour of its establishments. Yoshiwara's allure extended beyond physical beauty, offering an escape from the restrictive norms of Edo society and providing a space where creativity and expression flourished. Yet beneath its glamorous exterior, Yoshiwara was a complex world with a darker side. Many of the courtesans were bound by contracts, and life in the district was often challenging. Despite its hardships, Yoshiwara remained a central part of Edo's cultural landscape, inspiring art, literature, and fashion. It was a place where the beauty and complexity of human desires were both celebrated and scrutinized, making a symbol of the Edo period's intricate and multifaceted society. Sakoku, the closed country policy. In 1639, Japan enacted a policy that would define its relations with the world for more than 2 centuries. Sakoku, or the closed country policy. Implemented by the Tokugawa shogunate, Sakoku effectively sealed Japan's borders, prohibiting nearly all foreigners from entering and forbidding Japanese citizens from leaving the country. This decision was driven by a desire to protect Japan's culture, values, and political stability from foreign influences, particularly Christianity, which was seen as a potential threat to the shogunate's authority. By limiting outside contact, The shogunate aimed to prevent the spread of foreign ideologies that could disrupt the carefully maintained order of Edo society. Under sakoku, only a small number of Dutch and Chinese traders were permitted to conduct limited trade, and even they were confined to the man-made island of Dejima in Nagasaki Bay. These traders provided Japan with limited access to foreign goods, technology, and information, but they operated under strict supervision, ensuring that foreign influence remained minimal. Japanese citizens, too, were prohibited from leaving the country, and those who had traveled abroad faced severe punishment if they attempted to return. By isolating itself from the world, Japan preserved its traditions and culture, allowing them to flourish without interference. Sakoku had profound implications for Japanese society. On one hand, it allowed the country to develop a unique cultural identity, rooted in its own traditions and values. Art, literature, and philosophy thrived in this insular environment, creating a distinctive Japanese aesthetic that remains celebrated today. On the other hand, isolation also limited Japan's exposure to technological advancements and scientific progress occurring elsewhere, which would later pose challenges as the world modernized. Despite these limitations, sakoku created a society that was deeply introspective and self-reliant, an era in which Japan defined itself on its own terms. Self-reliance and cultural identity. The sakoku policy fostered a spirit of self-reliance in Japan, allowing the country to cultivate its unique cultural identity without external influence. With limited access to foreign goods, the Japanese people developed a resourceful approach to life, relying on local materials and refining their skills in areas like agriculture, craftsmanship, and art. Farmers and artisans found innovative ways to maximize the potential of their land and resources, creating techniques and practices that became integral to Japanese society. This self-sufficiency became a point of pride, as Japan thrived on its ability to sustain itself. Culturally, sakoku allowed Japan to preserve and celebrate its traditions, leading to a flowering of distinctively Japanese art forms. The people of Edo began to place greater emphasis on simplicity, harmony, and connection to nature, values that would come to define the Japanese aesthetic. These principles were evident in everything from tea ceremonies and calligraphy to architecture and garden design. Japanese culture became deeply intertwined with notions of balance, restraint, and an appreciation for life's transience, a perspective that resonated through art and daily practices alike. The isolation also reinforced a collective sense of cultural pride and national identity. By focusing inward, Japan developed a society that valued tradition, loyalty, and respect for one's place in the world. The Edo period became a time of introspection, where cultural values were solidified, and Japanese identity was carefully shaped. This era's emphasis on self-reliance and cultural preservation laid the foundation for many aspects of Japanese life that are still celebrated today, creating a unique legacy of beauty, resilience, and reverence for tradition. Arai Hakuseki and the philosophy of isolation. Arai Hakuseki, a prominent Confucian scholar and advisor to the Tokugawa shogunate, was one of the foremost proponents of Japan's isolationist policies during the Edo period. Hakuseki believed that Japan's strength lay in its independence and that foreign influence posed a threat to the country's stability and cultural integrity. In his writings, Hakuseki argued that Japan could thrive without relying on other nations, advocating for self-sufficiency and a cautious approach to foreign trade. His ideas reinforced the principles of sakoku, influencing both the intellectual and political climate of the time. Hakuseki's vision of Japan was one of self-reliance and cultural purity. He believed that by focusing inward, Japan could cultivate its traditions and values, creating a society that was true to its heritage. He viewed Western ideologies and religions, particularly Christianity, as potential sources of division and unrest that could undermine the shogunate's authority. His support for sakoku extended beyond policy. He saw it as a philosophical stance that would protect Japan's unity and identity. Hakuseki's influence on Edo society was profound, as he provided intellectual justification for the shogunate's isolationist approach, reinforcing the idea that Japan was a unique nation, set apart from the rest of the world. Through Hakuseki's work, the Edo period's isolation gained a deeper cultural and philosophical significance. His writings inspired a generation of thinkers who believed in the value of preserving Japan's traditions and rejecting foreign influences. Hakuseki's emphasis on cultural pride and independence resonated with the values of Edo society, helping to shape a national identity that celebrated Japan's distinctiveness. His ideas would continue to influence Japan long after the Edo period ended, leaving a legacy that emphasized the importance of cultural preservation and self-determination. The development of haiku poetry. During the Edo period, a new form of poetry emerged that would become one of Japan's most cherished literary traditions, haiku. This poetic form, known for its brevity and focus on nature, captured the essence of a moment in just 17 syllables. With a structure of 5-7-5 syllables, haiku required poets to distill their thoughts and observations, creating a sense of simplicity and depth that resonated deeply with the values of Edo society. Haiku poetry celebrated the fleeting beauty of the natural world, often reflecting the impermanence of life and the changing seasons. Haiku evolved from earlier forms of Japanese verse, particularly the hokku, the opening verse of a collaborative poem called renga. Over time, haiku became an independent form, allowing poets to express their personal insights and emotions in a concise format. The themes of haiku were often centered on nature, seasonal changes, and the small, often overlooked details of life. These poems invited readers to pause and appreciate the beauty in the everyday, a perspective that resonated with the Zen Buddhist principles of mindfulness and simplicity that influenced Edo society. The popularity of haiku grew, and it became a form of expression accessible to people from all walks of life. Poets like Matsuo Basho, Yosa Buson, and Kobayashi Isa elevated haiku to an art form, creating works that have endured for centuries. Haiku became a way for the people of Edo to connect with nature and each other, capturing moments of beauty, sorrow, and joy in just a few words. This poetry form reflected the Edo period's love for simplicity and introspection, making haiku a timeless legacy of Japanese culture. Matsuo Basho's Journey of Poetry. Matsuo Basho, one of Japan's most celebrated haiku poets, embodied the spirit of the Edo period through his poetry and his travels. Born into a samurai family, Basho left the warrior life behind to pursue a path of poetry and wandering. His journeys across Japan, chronicled in his poetic travel diaries, became legendary, inspiring generations of poets and readers. Basho's haiku captured the beauty of the landscapes he encountered, blending observations of nature with reflections on life's transience. Basho's travels took him to remote mountains, rivers, and villages, where he found inspiration in the simplicity and solitude of nature. His famous work, The Narrow Road to the Deep North, recounts his journey through Japan's northern regions, filled with haiku that convey the quiet beauty of each place he visited. Basho's poetry reflected the Zen Buddhist ideals of mindfulness and simplicity, emphasizing the importance of being fully present in each moment. His haiku were not just descriptions of scenery, but meditations on life's impermanence, inviting readers to see the world through his contemplative gaze. Through his poetry, Basho connected deeply with the Japanese landscape and its people, capturing the spirit of Edo in a way that transcended social class or status. His haiku became a reflection of the Edo period's values, celebrating the beauty of every day and the subtle nuances of life. Basho's legacy endures as a symbol of the Edo period's connection to nature and introspection, and his work continues to inspire lovers of poetry around the world, reminding them of the power of simplicity and the elegance of the natural world. The influence of Zen Buddhism. Zen Buddhism, with its emphasis on mindfulness, simplicity, and a profound connection to nature, had a significant influence on Edo society. Introduced to Japan centuries earlier, Zen philosophy became deeply ingrained in Japanese culture, shaping everything from art and literature to daily practices. Zen teachings encourage people to seek inner peace, find meaning in the present moment, and cultivate an appreciation for life's impermanence. These principles resonated deeply with the people of Edo, who embraced the idea of finding beauty in simplicity and harmony. Zen ideals can be seen in various aspects of Edo culture, particularly in practices such as tea ceremonies, calligraphy, and gardening. In the tea ceremony, for instance, participants were encouraged to approach each moment with reverence, finding mindfulness in the ritual of preparing and drinking tea. Similarly, Zen principles influenced the design of Japanese gardens, where carefully arranged stones, water features, and plants created spaces for meditation and reflection. These gardens were not merely decorative, but were meant to evoke the natural landscape, embodying the Zen philosophy of harmony with nature. Zen Buddhism also influenced the arts, encouraging a focus on simplicity, minimalism, and appreciation for the beauty of the natural world. This aesthetic can be seen in Edo period poetry, painting, and architecture, all of which emphasize balance and restraint. Zen's influence on Edo society fostered a culture of introspection and mindfulness, helping people find contentment in the ordinary and a sense of connection to the world around them. Through Zen, the people of Edo developed a way of life that celebrated peace, contemplation, and the fleeting beauty of existence. Japanese gardens and harmony with nature. Japanese gardens, meticulously crafted to reflect the beauty and harmony of the natural world, became an enduring symbol of tranquility during the Edo period. Influenced by Zen Buddhism and the values of the time, these gardens were designed to evoke a deep sense of peace, offering a space for meditation, reflection, and mindfulness. Every element within a Japanese garden, be it stones, water features, plants, or pathways, were chosen with care and placed with purpose, creating an environment that embodied the principles of simplicity and balance. Edo period gardens often featured ponds and streams that mirrored the flow of water in nature, along with carefully pruned trees and plants that represented the changing seasons. Stones symbolized mountains, while sand and gravel might evoke rivers or the vastness of the sea. Unlike the symmetrical gardens of Europe, Japanese gardens embraced asymmetry and organic forms, reflecting a belief in the beauty of imperfection. This concept, known as wabi-sabi, valued the transient, imperfect, and incomplete aspect of life, inviting viewers to see beauty in the natural cycle of growth and decay. These gardens provided a sanctuary from the busyness of everyday life, offering visitors a moment of connection with nature. They became an important aspect of the cultural identity of the period, embodying the ideals of harmony, respect, and a deep reverence for the world around them. Japanese gardens were not merely ornamental. They were an expression of the Edo period's philosophy, a place where people could find solace and reflect on the beauty of life's simple, fleeting moments. The tea ceremony and wabi-sabi. The tea ceremony held a special place in Edo society, a ritual that brought people together in an atmosphere of tranquility and respect. Rooted in the principles of Zen Buddhism, the tea ceremony was not just about drinking tea, but about cultivating mindfulness and appreciating the present moment. Every aspect of the ceremony, from the preparation of the tea to the design of the tea room, was intended to evoke a sense of harmony and simplicity, allowing participants to escape the outside world and experience a moment of profound peace. Central to the tea ceremony was the concept of wabi-sabi, a Japanese aesthetic that finds beauty in imperfection and impermanence. Wabi-sabi values simplicity, humility, and the natural wear that comes with time. The tea utensils used in the ceremony, bowls, teapots, and cups, were often handcrafted, each piece unique and intentionally unrefined. These items were chosen not for their perfection, but for their character, reflecting the belief that true beauty lies in an authenticity and the marks left by time. The tea ceremony was a space where social hierarchies faded, and people could connect through shared appreciation of beauty and simplicity. It became a form of art in its own right, an expression of the values of Edo society that emphasized mindfulness, restraint, and respect for tradition. Through the tea ceremony, the people of Edo found a way to express their love for simplicity in nature, creating a lasting cultural legacy that continues to be practiced and cherished in Japan today. Everyday life in Edo. Life in Edo, the bustling capital of the Tokugawa shogunate, was vibrant and diverse, a world where people from all walks of life came together. The city was one of the largest in the world at the time, with a population that included samurai, merchants, artisans, farmers, and entertainers. Edo was divided into districts based on occupation and status, with samurai living near the castle and merchants and artisans in the neighborhoods further out. The city was filled with markets, theaters, tea houses, and shops, creating a lively atmosphere where people mingled, traded, and enjoyed the simple pleasures of daily life. Despite the rigid social structure, Edo was a place of social interaction, where people from different backgrounds could meet and exchange ideas. The merchant class, though low in status, brought a sense of energy and creativity to the city. They supported the arts, funded entertainment districts, and introduced new goods and trends, adding color to Edo life. Artisans showcased their skills in everything from pottery and textiles to metalworking, crafting items that were both functional and beautiful, reflecting the Edo aesthetic that valued quality and simplicity. Edo's residents lived by the rhythms of the season, with festivals and celebrations marking the passage of time. Cherry blossom season, for instance, was a time of joy and celebration as people gathered under the blooming trees to share food, drink, and poetry. Everyday life in Edo was a blend of discipline and enjoyment, where people adhered to the social rules set by the shogunate, but also found ways to experience beauty, connection, and pleasure. This balance of structure and spontaneity defined Edo life, creating a society that valued both tradition and the small joys of everyday moments. The role of the shogunate in daily life. The Tokugawa shogunate's control over Edo society was comprehensive, influencing nearly every aspect of life for its citizens. From the rigid class structure to the clothing people wore, the shogunate's regulations shaped the daily lives of the population. Laws dictated how each social class should behave, with detailed rules on dress, conduct, and even personal relationships. Samurai, for example, were required to wear 2 swords and maintain a certain level of decorum, reflecting their elevated status and role as enforcers of the shogunate's rules. Merchants and artisans were also bound by strict codes, limiting their displays of wealth and restricting certain luxuries to higher status individuals. Farmers were required to pay taxes in rice, and they faced strict quotas and expectations set by the shogunate to ensure that the population remained fed and the economy stable. These regulations were intended to preserve the social order, preventing unrest and ensuring that each class fulfilled its designated role. The shogunate's oversight extended to personal behavior as well, with morality laws that discouraged indulgence and promoted modesty and discipline. While these rules may seem restrictive, they provided a sense of stability and predictability, creating a society where everyone understood their place and obligations. The shogunate's presence was felt in everyday interactions, from the markets to the temples, ensuring that Edo remained a city of order. By controlling the social fabric so closely, the Tokugawa shogunate achieved an unprecedented level of peace, a stability that allowed Japanese culture to thrive. This control was both a limitation and a foundation, shaping Edo life into a balanced, structured experience for its residents. The influence of nature and the seasons. Nature played a central role in Edo, and the people of this era had a profound appreciation for the changing seasons. Seasonal changes were not only observed but celebrated, marking the rhythms of daily life and inspiring countless art forms. Festivals like cherry blossom viewing in spring and moon viewing in autumn were cherished events, drawing people together to appreciate the beauty of nature in all its forms. These gatherings were not merely social occasions, they were expressions of a deep cultural value, a respect for nature's cycles, and an acknowledgement of life's fleeting beauty. Artists, poets, and common citizens alike found inspiration in the seasons, creating works that reflected the landscapes and emotions of each time of year. Ukiyo-e prints captured the changing scenery, with images of cherry blossoms, snow-covered temples, and golden autumn leaves. Haiku poetry often focused on seasonal themes, distilling the essence of a moment in nature into 17 syllables. This connection to nature was more than an aesthetic, it was a way of life, a philosophy that emphasized the importance of harmony and awareness of the world around them. In Edo, people celebrated the simple beauty of nature through rituals, art, and everyday practices. The seasons served as a reminder of life's transience, a theme that resonated deeply in Edo society. By living in harmony with nature, the people of Edo cultivated a sense of peace and mindfulness, a reverence for the world that shaped their understanding of beauty and time. Nature was not just a backdrop to life, it was an integral part of the culture, shaping the values and experiences that defined the Edo period. The end of sakoku and foreign influence. After over 2 centuries of isolation, the era of sakoku came to an end in 1853, when American Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Japan with a fleet of black ships and a demand to open the country to trade. Perry's arrival marked a turning point in Japanese history, as the shogunate, under pressure from foreign powers, was forced to reconsider its isolationist stance. In 1854, Japan signed the Treaty of Kanagawa, opening its ports to American ships and initiating a new era of diplomatic and trade relations with the outside world. This event set the stage for profound changes that would reshape Japan's future. The end of sakoku exposed Japan to new ideas, technologies, and industries, sparking a period of rapid modernization known as the Meiji Restoration. As foreign influence grew, the shogunate struggled to maintain control, and by 1868, the Tokugawa shogunate had been dismantled, giving way to the new government under Emperor Meiji. The arrival of foreign powers not only transformed Japan's economy, but also introduced Western political and educational systems, leading to a dramatic shift in Japanese society and culture. The opening of Japan brought an end to the Edo period, but the values and traditions cultivated during this era continue to influence the nation's identity. The period of isolation had allowed Japan to develop a unique cultural identity, one that blended traditional Japanese values with modern innovations. Although the end of sakoku signaled the end of an era, The spirit of the Edo period remained deeply rooted in Japan's society as the country embarked on a new journey towards modernization and global engagement. The legacy of the Edo period. The legacy of the Edo period is one of cultural preservation, social stability, and artistic achievement. Despite the dramatic changes that followed its end, the Edo period's influence can still be felt throughout Japan. The values of discipline, respect for tradition, and harmony with nature that defined the era have remained central to Japanese identity, influencing everything from education to aesthetics. The arts, philosophy, and practices of the Edo period continue to shape Japan's culture, a testament to the strength and resilience of the traditions developed during this time. The Edo period's emphasis on simplicity, mindfulness, and appreciation for the beauty of the everyday laid the foundation for what is now recognized as a distinct Japanese aesthetic. From haiku poetry to Zen-inspired gardens, the cultural achievements of the Edo period have become symbols of Japanese artistic heritage, admired worldwide. The era's values, such as wabi-sabi and bushido, continue to resonate, offering a perspective on life that celebrates impermanence, humility, and authenticity. In modern Japan, the legacy of the Edo period is honored through festivals, art, and practices that continue to celebrate the spirit of the time. The Edo period was not just an age of isolation. It was a period of profound introspection, where Japan defined itself in its own terms. As we look back on this remarkable era, we see a time when the Japanese people embraced peace, self-reliance, and beauty, creating a cultural legacy that endures to this day. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the Edo period, a world of samurai, merchants, artisans, and a society shaped by its own unique rhythm of peace and structure. The Edo period was more than just a time of isolation. It was a profound era of self-discovery, where art, philosophy, and tradition were deeply woven into the fabric of everyday life. Through discipline, harmony, and a deep respect for nature, the people of Edo cultivated a legacy that resonates even today. For those who want to dive deeper, join us for an exclusive episode focused entirely on Tokugawa Ieyasu himself, the founder of the Tokugawa shogunate and the architect of the Edo period's peace. We'll explore his life, his strategies, and the vision that shaped Japan for over 2 centuries. From his rise to power to the policies that defined his rule, we'll uncover the man behind the legacy. Thank you for listening to Echoes of Japan. We hope this exploration of the Edo period has brought you closer to the spirit of Japan's past, and we look forward to journeying with you into the heart of Tokugawa Ieyasu's story.